Hey, it's CANDIA RAQUEL, founder of Centro de Poder. Welcome to the Sensual Sessions, the place to be to sense your fire and share your flame. Today we have a very special guest. This is Robert Steijn. He's a performing artist and he's the co-founder of the School of Tender Thinking. Welcome, Robert.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
So happy to have you here. And today we're gonna explore the interesting subject of sensual thinking. So, Robert, how is it to connect with sensuality when you are a person that tends to think a lot? How do we manage that? How can we be maybe an overthinker and connect with sensuality?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I was thinking that in my life, thinking is always the base of my actions, of what I do, and also how I judged it. Is also very much, of course, a thinking strategy that you do something and that you immediately are very self-conscious and that you are thinking, is it okay? Do I do it right? Doubting, is this what I want? And I felt that in the way I think, I really make the reality very sharp. I made the reality, let's talk in the past, in a way of not black and white, but really to think in categories and also to understand, I'm this person, I am that person, really by thinking, trying to position yourself or to find out who you are. And then by my profession, by dancing and by initiated in a snake energy in Umbanda, I discovered that I can start to think differently. It's like an altered state of mind. And I can imagine that when the title of this conversation is Sensual Thinking, that when there's someone talking here, I get a little bit distracted. When I'm in an altered state of sensual thinking, or in an altered state of thinking, that I think less rigid, and that my thinking is more connected with a way of sensing the body, and also that the thinking comes more from a kind of knowledge of this experience, of this gained knowledge, and then by going more in the body, I think you get also softening your way of thinking. And it had to do a lot with, I was with an Umbanda priest in Sao Paulo, and he said, the snake is in you, the energy of the snake, and when you want to work with it, you have to become very soft. And then I thought, what is it to... And I start by, what is it to think soft? Because thinking is always my first action. It's always, I don't know. It's not that I can be spontaneous, but it's more spontaneous mentally than physically. I first, and I feel, but then we already go perhaps in a whole other area. My body is not so, how would you say that? Impulsive. It's for me difficult to find, to go for impulses. I always take time to, I'm always the slowest, you know? When I was on the high school, I was the slowest who got interested in sexuality or in kissing. I was always a little bit
slow,
late. Yes.
And
I'm.
how did you took yourself to the action? Like you say, you were slow, and that's surprising. Being like Dutch, like Holland is like very fluid and open and avant-garde, and Amsterdam and the culture and everything. So like how normally our environment influences. For example, here in Mexico, everything that has to do with the body and the flesh is a sin, and we are going to hell because we like to kiss
Mhm.
and we like sexuality. But in Holland it's a whole different
Yeah.
context. So how did the context where you are influences your way of thinking and your sensuality? And also, like, how can you take yourself to action? You said like you were slow in high school to go into the body, into the action of the flesh.
Yeah.
So how what lesson can you tell us so we learn to go into it, like
Yeah.
to cross that
Yeah.
slowness
I.
of the action of
I.
desire.
Yeah. Yeah. I. I feel that my sexuality is very much related to feeling safe when it starts.
Yes,
It's a sexual drive,
yes,
and I was raised up by my mother was very nervous person, very nervous, and
yes,
as a kid I really learned always to try to relax her. So in a way, it's really I developed a lot of empathy for another person. So when another person is tensed,
yes,
I always immediately feel this tension and I want to relax. And I feel also when I'm in a group of people and also when I'm teaching, because then I always try to relax the atmosphere before we start.
yes,
And um, so I was never first very goal orientated that I immediately had a drive. I want this.
okay,
It was his first. Let's. And then I discovered that when someone makes me very clear that he or she wants me, then I'm really free.
free
But
and safe.
it's not. Yeah, yeah. And then I can play, and then I can be like a kid also in sexuality and enjoy. But first, I have to have this feeling that I'm desired. And I'm
Yes,
not this hunter kind of that happened twice or three times in my life that I saw someone and I thought this person really I like a lot. And
yes.
then I felt me in a totally different atmosphere. I was looking at myself, I think, my God, Robert, you're really a macho. You're really you go to blocks or barricades. But I have to say, all these times it didn't work out. So
Oh,
that's not the best strategy
oh.
for me.
Yeah, well, it's a dance between two individuals. So that's
Mhm.
very interesting to choose
And,
or to that's very interesting, like to choose or to be chosen, or to choose among
yeah,
the ones that have chosen you.
yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I had really difficulties when I went to the university. Um, I think I had a lot of people who fell in love with me, and then I had really difficulties. I felt really guilty to choose
To
because
choose.
I thought really that I had to be to satisfy everyone's needs.
Yeah, because otherwise you would be a
But I think that's
heartbreaker. Yeah, because
yes,
yeah, someone's heart will someone's heart will end up broken because it's very
Yes.
hard. It's very hard to experience rejection in oneself, and it's also hard to be the cause of the heartbreak of someone else when you reject that person.
Yeah.
No, it feels horrible, especially
Yes. Yes.
if you love that person and care for that person, but you're not in love of that person. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, we are very considerate people because the world is full of people that doesn't care about breaking everyone's heart. Actually, they feel proud, like they can
Yes.
have that luxury. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel you can only be proud on that when you don't have this experience that your heart is broken, when you really fell in love with someone with an open heart, and then uh, and then this person rejects you, then you understand what you did to other people. But when
Uh-huh.
you're only busy with conquering people and your heart is not there, then I want to say something about this let's say sex drive, or when I was young and still also now. And there's, I think, also the sensuality coming in. My first thing is that I want to be touched and that I want my skin to be opened. And that I also feel that I want to be opened as a flower. What is for a man perhaps a strange metaphor.
Well, at least it's
But
socially
I really
brave.
like this idea.
Yeah, tell us more. Tell us your perspective as being a man, because men are like more repressed than women when it comes to expressing pleasure and sensuality. I believe. So you like
Yeah,
the
and
feeling?
then I was thinking, well, of the skins together, and also really to be caressed by my whole body. And then I still don't have this, and I feel, and I like a lot of staring in someone's eyes also. And then, and of course, there's also a desire for penetration or envelopment, but that's also there. But my first entrance to meet a person is to be sensual with this person. For me, it's very difficult to be with someone, and I'm sometimes also in these situations I had no idea. Then I said to someone, what is stupid, of course, well, I have a beautiful catalog in my hotel. Don't you want to see it? And then I was walking with this man on the corridor, and then I thought, my God, he thinks that we would have sex now. That it was a kind of,
An
of
invitation.
sentence to take him
And
to
you
the
were
hotel.
actually wanting to show
Yeah.
him the catalog at your hotel. Yeah, that happened to me a lot also,
Yeah.
because I am Aquarius.
And
You're
because we,
because of the
Mhm.
thinking, like we, because a lot of in
No,
seduction is
no,
about
not
insinuation, and many people have like a seduction sensual language of suggestion, whereas for me, I am very blunt. When I like someone, I say like, I like you, I want you, come to my house to sleep together and have sex. Like I am no filter. And when I was studying biology
wow.
in the career, I used to invite my friends like, hey, come to my house and let's watch a movie. Or like study, I don't know, caterpillars or whatever. And it took me years to understand why suddenly they were like angry and like frustrated when I was showing them the catalog of caterpillars. Because they had another expectation. And there was a time actually that one of my classmates told me that he got a pornographic movie of Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee, and I was like, oh, I have never seen one of those movies.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, bring it. It's super interesting. And then like, okay, and I made popcorns and tuna cans because I am practical. Like, here's your tuna can and catsup. And we were watching the movie, and it didn't turn me on. Like, porn personally doesn't turn me on like quite much. And I was looking at the scene and I was like, no, like that lady looks like she had a plastic surgery in the boobs. And looking like, oh, okay, we are like watching a behind the scenes of human mating. Like, I was like in very mental way, and nothing happened. And I put him on a chair on the other side of the, like, I was in my analytic thing watching a pornographic movie, just like that, like really mentally and not at all in the body, least in the sexuality. So
Mhm.
as time passed, I realized like, oh, poor friend, maybe he thought he was conquering me that way, or he wanted like a one night stand or something. And I took things like literally. And yeah, so there are like styles, because for me it's important also to have a prelude of sensuality before sexuality, and before that a clear conversation and declaration of intention. Like I need to, like,
Yeah.
okay, I like you, you like me. And for me it's very important to name things and say things up front, though I have learned that that is not the case for many people. For many people it's like, yeah, like the fact that you're close to another people, they made them believe that you have intentions of intimacy. So tell us more about how is your experience of sensuality and intimacy as a man. You were mentioning the feeling of the encounter of the skin and the image of opening as a flower and being in a context of trust. how how is it for you, like all that
Yes.
realm of
Mhm.
pleasure?
I, I was always very shy, and also I'm not good in seducing. And the play of seduction doesn't work so well for me. In a way, this and that's also what I found out with this man who I brought to the hotel. During the whole dinner, I felt no sexual tension at all. No looking to the eyes, not putting your hand on the other hand of the person, or all these kind of things. And then it felt really totally sudden to have sex. And then I also feel then, of course, we had sex, because I am also that I like a lot at the moment now. This view of consent,
This view of
this
conscious, yeah.
learning to say no, and learning to say your desires. I think that's a very nice tool for us now to, let's say, define our borders, or to to make them not elastic, but to explore together a little bit, also by talking and questioning and asking and answering and giving other propositions, to make it also more verbal what is actually happening between two bodies. But I have to ask you, and to go back to your question
Yeah.
about the sensuality and flowering of the body.
Yes.
I felt um, um, I, I use this because it's very romantic metaphor. I'm going to say, I like to think when I am with someone that I am in paradise, in a garden.
Yes, yes, yes,
So that
yes,
it's so that it's not so much about meeting each other and have a kind of sexual fire and and mm, kind of fire and then the need to satisfy this fire. But I feel more when I'm with someone, what a gift it is to be with someone naked.
yes,
And what what a gift it is to take time. And I tried a few times grinder, and then people were really upset because when you meet each other, then the doors open and you see a new body, a new person, and you get excited. But then I didn't want to go to the end. I just want to, who are you? And are you? And then people got really turned off when I said, "Are you married? Do you have a relationship? What is your boyfriend doing, or your wife is doing?" And then they got really upset because they thought, "Well, this is too intimate. Uh, why is this man questioning this? We just have sex." And then I thought, well, but sex for me is who are you, and
yes,
how do you
yes,
deal with your life,
yes.
and that
I mean, what can be more
because
intimate that your own flesh? What can be more intimate than your own flesh and your own sex and being on connection with another person through this fire of aliveness? Like, I mean, we are here talking this talk because of a sexual event of two cells coming together. I mean, sex is the means for life and procreation. Like, it's the primal life energy. So how, what can be more intimate than that? And it's amazing, all the gaslighting and denial of sex, as if sex wasn't what it is, as if it was just sex, it was nothing else. Well, like, uh, for well, it may vary from person to person, but I agree with you in that the conversation and knowing about you and knowing about your name, it's like the external layer, the mental layer, that then goes to the skin and then goes to the merging of the flesh, that is paradise and what makes life worth
yeah,
living.
because in a
Anyways,
way, yeah, in a way, where does the sexual act or the sexual union, where does it take place? And I feel when I look too much porn, for instance, it will take place in a mental idea of excitement. Then it's really about we are penetrating, or we are now excited, and the images is very codified. It was like this. I work at dance academies, and of course sometimes they're very experimental. And then one guy, he said, "I make a masturbation solo on stage." And then he was masturbating on stage, and then afterwards I said, "Can you be more physical?" And he thought he was very physical because he masturbated. And I said, "Well, it's just something between the images in your head and your dick, rubbing your dick."
exactly,
And this
exactly.
is really, and there the sensuality is totally out for me. And perhaps sensuality, when I think of sensuality, I always think about the landscape, that our
Yes,
body is a landscape and that we can wander around, that it's something spacious,
yes, yes,
that we take time to wander, that we take time to walk or to travel, or and not travel really with clear goal already when you start.
yes, yes,
And then
yes.
it's also very interesting, even in the rhythm of fucking.
Yeah,
When is it the real? And when is it the desire of the will, look what I can do? And when is it when the bodies take over?
Yes, when the
And I always feel this difference.
yes, when the body takes over, that's what's all about, and that's true sincerity. That's rawness. That's showing up as who you are and bringing yourself like forward into the experience, be it in an intimate situation of sexuality, or be it in stage or in whatever you're doing in life. Sensuality is it's about letting the bodies take over, and it's the expression of your utmost truth.
Yeah, I would say it different. It's the truth of how you perceive through the senses.
Yes.
Because I feel sensuality also has to do with how would I say that mm, uh, this surrender. Let's say when we say let the body speak, and we
Yes.
surrender to the body, in a
Yes.
way we surrender to our perception of the senses.
Yes.
And we're not really in control. I have pleasure. I'm going to do this and this and this with you.
Yes.
What is also a truth now? Because I think then there is, let's say, when you put your willpower on the sexual act and also have pleasure of this, that can also be a truth for a person. I feel, but I feel that in the sensuality, it could be a really, it could be really, in sensuality, yeah, I think it has to do, but then I go, I always think a lot together about that it's not done by us.
Exactly. That's what
And
I
that I
meant.
like a lot, that we only perceive what is happening.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So what I am trying to grasp and put it into words is that sensuality is about bodily truth, like the truth that Martha Graham's evoked when she said that the body doesn't lie. Like there's an immediate reaction in the body, in the flesh, that is so fast that doesn't allow for discursive thinking to get into and elaborate. So that response doesn't mean that it's the body and the body is like dumb. On the contrary, it's about like our raw awareness that is perhaps even almost on an unconscious level, that you're just knowing what is going on without the filtering and interpretation of reality. Like you're in the raw experience and in the raw expression of that experience without elaborating, and without that, it's not that it's not your truth or it's not true, but is something that you elaborate and you add your discourse, and maybe it has to do more with the fantasy that you're creating, that is going on in you, and maybe that you're evoking discursively, and what you're making happen, rather than a direct action of experience that is like very immediate. How can you get into that state of sensuality? Like
I would say the difference between play and work. I feel that when there is not this idea I have to work for something, but it's more I'm playing with it and I experiencing it. It's really letting go of a lot of expectations.
Yes.
Let's
Yes.
say when I feel, let's say when we say to a person, oh, she or he is a sensual lover, then it gets me also a little bit on the creeps, because then I think, oh my God, when I'm with this person, it will take a lot of times and then a lot of caressing. I'm always very much judgmental, I have to say. I think it's not about this, that we have to be caressed a long time or things like that, but it is about, for me, the belief that when we are having sex, we are in something divine.
Yes.
And with divine, I want to say something like a mystery, something like a present or a gift of something
Yes.
very beautiful, like sacred moments in life, like
Yes.
getting a child or falling in love or being suddenly very satisfied by recognition that suddenly you see that you have a talent which is not only accepted, but which is really welcomed by the community. All these kind of
Yes.
moments, they're for me quite sacred.
Yes.
And I feel in sexuality, and then you can call it sacred or divine or things like that. But there are very private moments which are go beyond social conventions or codified meetings by our how we are educated.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And that's it's interesting sometimes when I feel something and I think, well, this is not conditioned by how I am raised or by my experiences.
Yes.
But this is a new, so it's also to have a little bit this wonder of a child.
The wonder of a
You know
child.
that,
Yes.
for yeah. So it's very funny. I think that's how can we be in a state of mind that everything could be a gift. And I think that's for me when you fall in love now. You think, oh, beautiful, beautiful day, beautiful. I just, oh, it's raining, so beautiful, because you're in love. So everything is really, and then in love, and then to love, that's then a much different connection, because in love, you're connected with everything.
Yes. Yes.
and then and then to love something is to maintain in this connection.
To
And
sustain.
I think this sensuality, this could be a portal for
Yes.
um, now unconditional love is really exquisite words, no, but let's say a portal for an open connection with the whole field around you
Yes. Yes. Yes.
in a loving way. I would perhaps not unconditional love, but in a loving way.
In a loving way. Yeah. Connection with everything. I love this so much, Robert. Thank you. This is enlightening, like
Yeah,
inside out, enlightening, like from the heart and the flesh, and spaciousness, safety, freedom,
yeah.
creativity,
It's also from the
playfulness.
heart. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Would you share with us one exercise to get into this, to create this context and spaciousness for play rather than for work? Because at least for me, when I say I'm gonna do this, like I'm gonna make a space or a structure, I immediately associate it with work, with a task, with a goal, with a result. But this sensuality that we are talking about, it's something that emerges like a blooming flower. You cannot force a flower. So how do you create this area, this playground, that is not
Mhm.
coming from the work mentality and the duty mentality and the task
Yes.
mentality and the discursive thinking? mentality of I'm gonna have sex rather than being on the unfolding
Yeah.
of the experiences that leads to the paradise of being merged with a beloved or the
Mhm.
beloved.
I was. Yeah, I. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm thinking of exercise. Uh, an Israeli choreographer and healer gave it to me, and we did it online. So, but it's very for me powerful, and sometimes I use it now also when I'm giving a workshop or even with the audience. It's very easy. It's you hold your hand. Up one hand, and then you imagine that in your hand is something very something which is very dear to you. Your lover, or your kid, or I don't know, or your dream to go somewhere, but really something very very what what is really makes you soft when you think about it. And then by uh, moving your fingers very slow, and also the way of your hand palm is inside, perhaps even moving the wrist a little bit slow, you're going very gently to massage this precious imaginary thing. And by doing this, I don't know, you activate something very tender in your nervous system. And I think the fingers and the wrist and the hand, of course, it's very related also in a kind of spiritual perspective in dance to the heart. eh? That
Yes.
that the hands are the giving the energy of the heart in space, so it's already involved there. So you really, and you make as small movements with your fingers and your wrists to massage this small thing. And then when you have done this for a few minutes, you take it to your heart, your hand. And the idea of this concentration, this concentration, just to move little, to make little movements with your fingers and your hand, and to feel the warmth of your hand palm. This concentration related with this object, with this thing or person which you love so much, and you take it to your hand, is a kind of meditation which really softens you. I think sometimes making subtle movements and concentrate on subtle movements in this way opens us to another way of perceiving our actions.
Yes. Yes. It does. It does. I feel it. I feel it in my heart. I feel it in my body. I feel it around me. I feel it in the space. I feel the change of
Mhm.
tone in the environment that I am creating. I'm loving this exercise, Robert.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And there and there you see perhaps where, let's say, the thinking started to change, because when we do this and when we are in this sensual state, we're thinking different. We're thinking different about our body. We're thinking different about other we are with. When we are together with someone, we think about the environment. So in a way, there are um, physical movements or physical states that can help us to think differently. And I think it's also vice versa. To think differently, we can move differently.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
We think differently, we move differently. Yeah, thank you so much,
Yeah.
Robert. Where can our audience find you? How can we all know more about your doing and your work?
Yeah. I'm very nomadic in my work. I do all kinds of different things, and I'm performing a lot and work also of other people. So the best is just to Google the School of Tender Thinking on Facebook, or Google my name on Instagram or Facebook, and you'll find. And then you can also chat with me, and because when you Google me on internet, you get in a lot of, because I'm already 63, and a lot of different performances I did, or I supported, or I was part of, and then you could get a little bit lost in the labyrinth of all kinds of things. But the best is just go to Instagram under my name, or to Facebook under the School of Tender Thinking.
Okay, so find Robert Steijn at Instagram or Facebook, the School of Tender Thinking. Thank you so much, Robert. This has been such an honor.
Yes, it went very snel, very fast.
Very fast.
When we're talking about slowing down and taking
Slow
time.
and down and flow. But it happened what we said. The flow took us over. The bodies took over. So this was not a script, something rigid, structured plan.
No,
We had a clear intention, and we were taken over essentially in this great conversation of sensual thinking. Yeah, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also happy. The conversation really makes me happy. So to talk to you and on the subject.
Yeah,
Thank you.
My pleasure. And to share with the sensualist. And this is a message for all of you. Like, you need to take the time to know and sense your fire. So you're charged, you're full to share your flame. And if you're not subscribed already to the Sensual emails, come to Centro de Poder and join.